What would you do if your life was threatened not once, not twice, but 18 times? In the heart of West Africa, a 34-year-old geologist turned soldier has become the most haunted leader on the continent. His crime? Daring to dream of an Africa that controls its own dignity. They have tried bombs, they have deployed mercenaries, they have even turned his own military against him. But Ibrahim Traoré is still standing, and the question that keeps his enemies up at night is simple: why can't we unalive him? Welcome to the Strategic Lens on Africa Today, where today we are going beyond the headlines to uncover one of the most remarkable stories of survival on the African continent. Now, before we dive into the assassination plots, let me paint you a picture of Burkina Faso. This landlocked nation of 21 million people has long been caught between forces beyond its control. Colonial exploitation, terrorist insurgencies, and economic hardship have shaped its turbulent history. Many compare Traoré to Thomas Sankara, Burkina Faso's revolutionary leader of the 1980s, who was assassinated after daring to challenge France's grip on the country. And here is where things get interesting. Ibrahim Traoré wasn't born into a privileged family. Raised in the small town of Bondokwe, he studied geology at a university, and by 2010 he joined the military. His rise through the ranks was rapid, serving in UN peacekeeping missions in Mali and earning commendments for his leadership in counter-terrorism operations. But in 2022, Burkina Faso was in crisis. Islamist insurgents had taken control over 40% of the country's territory, and the military, led by Paul-Henri Damiba, had already staged one coup that January. On September 30th, 2022, Captain Ibrahim Traoré led a second coup, declaring that Damiba had failed to address the security situation. At 34, he became the world's youngest head of state, launching more than 18 much-needed factories in Burkina Faso within 6 months. But here's what most media won't tell you. Ibrahim Traoré wasn't just any power-hungry military man. He even refused an increase in his salary when he became the head of state. He chose instead to maintain his salary as a commander, since he was a commander before taking power. His first actions in power sent shockwaves in power halls in Paris and Washington. He expelled French troops, cancelled exploitative mining contracts, forged new alliances with Russia, and began implementing policies reminiscent of Thomas Sankara's revolutionary vision, from mandating locally made clothing for public servants to freezing corrupt officials' assets. And that's when the assassination plots began. The first plot came just months after Traoré took power. January 2023, intelligence services intercept communications revealing a chilling plan. A bomb was to be planted at Traoré's residence during the African Cup of Nations match, when security was most distracted. Now think about this for a moment. How would you feel knowing that while you were watching a football match, someone was planning to blow up your home? The conspirators even had a backup plan. If the bomb failed, an ambush would be set on his motorcade the following day. But how did Burkina Faso's intelligence service uncover this plot? This is where our story takes its first surprising turn. Multiple sources indicate that Russia's foreign intelligence services provided the crucial tip-off, sharing names of conspirators and details of the plan just hours before it was set to happen. But then what most people don't understand is that this assassination attempt was not an isolated incident. It was the first in what would become a pattern. A concerted campaign to eliminate a leader who dared to challenge the established order. By September 2023, authorities announced they had foiled another coup attempt. Lieutenant Colonel Everett Sumner and former government minister Prosper Basole were among those arrested. But here is what makes this case particularly fascinating. The threats of this plot led directly to the man Traoré had just overthrown, Paul-Henri Damiba, who had fled to neighboring Togo. And behind Damiba, a network of interests that didn't want to see Burkina Faso chart its own course. But the most shocking attempt was yet to come. What's the price of a president's life? In Burkina Faso, apparently, it's 5 million. The plan was as audacious as it was simple. The influential figure, whose identity has never been publicly revealed, arrived in Burkina Faso. He deliberately cultivated relationships with soldiers in Traoré's inner security circle. If you could help me eliminate Ibrahim Traoré, he told them, I'm going to pay you over $5 million. The soldiers appeared to accept. The mysterious figure paid them the $5 million and gave them special ammunition. When you are near Ibrahim Traoré, just take out your guns and hit him with his bullets, and boom, you are rich. But in a remarkable turn of events, these soldiers went to Ibrahim Traoré and revealed everything to him and handed over the money and evidence. We have been paid with this money to earn your life, they reportedly told him, but we are allies. We can't do this to you. What would you have done if you were in Traoré's position? Who would you trust if people are offering money, millions of dollars to your guards, your closest guards, to end your life? The mastermind was arrested and charged with treason, but his identity and who he was working for remained closely guarded secrets. Now, this raises very profound questions. Who has $5 million to lose to eliminate the leader of one of Africa's most poorest countries? And what interests are so threatened by Traoré's leadership that they will go to such extents? Contrary to what many people believe, Burkina Faso is not poor. Burkina Faso is the fourth largest producer of gold in Africa. And just for a reminder, more than half of all gold that is mined, that have been mined on Earth, comes from Africa. Burkina Faso has significant deposits of zinc, lithium, manganese, and many other rare minerals. Its cotton is prized worldwide. For decades, these resources flowed out of the country, primarily benefiting foreign corporations and the local elite who facilitated these arrangements. Many assume that terrorism is the biggest threat to Burkina Faso. But what if I told you that terrorism might be actually a tool that is used by external powers to control mineral resources within this region? Ibrahim Traoré himself has suggested this connection, pointing out that terrorist activities mysteriously intensified after he expelled French forces and cancelled exploitative mining contracts. Then there is the regional dimension. The Economic Community of West African States, ECOWAS, heavily influenced by France, imposed sanctions on Burkina Faso and even threatened it with military intervention. What we are witnessing isn't just one man's survival. It's about the future of resource sovereignty in Africa. And caught in the middle of this struggle is a global power competition. As France's influence wanes, Russia has stepped in, providing security assistance, intelligence support, and diplomatic backing to Traoré's government. Most Western media portray this as Russia opportunistically expanding its influence. But for Burkina Faso's perspective, this partnership offers something France never did: respect for their sovereignty and security support without the colonial baggage. And this explains why, despite Western criticism of his authoritarian leadership, Traoré enjoys widespread popular support at home, especially among young people who see him as fighting for their future. These assassination attempts on Ibrahim Traoré aren't just about removing one man. They are about suppressing an idea. The dangerous idea that African countries can't control their own resources and chart their own destiny. Despite the constant threats to his life, Traoré has initiated ambitious projects from local manufacturing initiatives to agricultural reforms. He mobilized thousands of civilians, volunteers to defend communities against terrorist attacks. Areas once controlled by jihadis are gradually being reclaimed. Markets are reopening and more than 400 schools have reopened. But the question remains, can this revolutionary vision survive? History is littered with African leaders who challenged the status quo only to be eliminated. From Patrice Lumumba to Thomas Sankara. And Ibrahim Traoré knows this. He keeps a picture of Thomas Sankara in his office and often quotes him. And like Sankara, he lives relatively modestly, refusing the luxuries that comes with power. You know what's remarkable about Ibrahim Traoré? It's not just his survival against the odds. Is that he hasn't become paranoid or reclusive despite the constant threats. He still appears in public, meets with citizens and pushes forward with his vision. And across Africa, his example is inspiring the new generation to question established order. From Mali to Guinea, from Niger to the diaspora, young Africans are asking, what if we too control our own resources? What if we too charted our own destiny? The assassins may still be plotting, the geopolitical chess players may still be moving their pieces, but something has fundamentally changed in Burkina Faso and beyond. The story about Ibrahim Traoré's survival is still being written, and honestly, I don't know how it ends. Will he succeed where others have failed? Will the forces arrayed around him eventually prevail? What I do know is that each assassination attempt that fails makes the idea he represents even stronger, that African resources should benefit African people, and that even the smallest nations have the right to determine their own future. So I'm curious, do you think that leaders like Ibrahim Traoré represent the future of Africa, or do you think they are fighting forces that are too strong to overcome? Share your thoughts in the comments below. This has been The Strategic Lens, looking beyond the headlines to understand the forces that are shaping our world. And until next time, keep your lens focused. If you haven't yet subscribed to this channel, I don't know what you're waiting for. Hit the like button and share this video to 2 or 3 people that you know would like this content. Until next time.